Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 1111 Matrix Code Revealed. As always, I'm your host, Garrett King. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at a new matrix that I found in the Bible Code. And this one, just like all the others, it's pretty extraordinary. And it seems to really tie in, again, the idea that this is a simulation. And I believe that it also is showing how it ties in even more to the 1111 Matrix Code. It's kind of wild when you really start to think about this and how it all fits together. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get started and we'll go from there. So this particular matrix I did using the program Code Finder Millennium Edition. And the more I'm working with that program, I'm liking it as well. I mean, I like Keys to the Bible, but the Code Finder program is pretty good too. Again, the more that I'm using it, and it's starting to make more sense to me. So, and what's interesting is, I mean, I say it's interesting, but actually it's not. It would make sense to find this exact same code in all the other programs, which I did. So it just goes to show, I think, that, you know, it doesn't really matter which program you're using. You can still find the same codes that I'm finding. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and look at this one really quick. I want to be respectful of your guys' time. So let's just jump into this. Now, the key word or the master word that was put into this matrix was Torah Code, okay? Or in other words, Bible Code. I wanted to see if the Bible Code itself would be mentioned in the Bible Code. And sure enough, it is. But it's listed as Torah Code. And that's going to be the word here in red that's running vertically up and down. So this is Torah Code. All right. Now, this is where it gets very, very interesting. Right above Torah Code, also running vertically in green right here, is the phrase exists in the human language. Okay? Exists in the human language. Think about that for just a moment. It's suggesting to us that the Torah Code itself exists in the human language. But what is the human language? Now, I thought about this a lot. I really thought about this a lot. So what is a language that every human on the planet could understand? Now, I know that there's many languages on the planet. There's Spanish, French, German, Hebrew, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. But this is saying the human language. And my belief is that what it's referring to here is the language of numbers, of math, because it doesn't matter what language you actually speak, numbers would make sense to everyone. Okay? Now, I mean, some people are going to understand math and numbers more in depth than others, but it's still, at the basic principle, it's something that we're all going to understand. 1 + 1 = 2. That sort of thing. That, to me, would be the human language. And the fact that the Torah Code exists in the human language just further adds to that description, that meaning, that it is in the numbers, it's in the math. Because as I explained in the last video, when God created the heavens and the earth, the first thing that he did was he created the code itself. And remember, the Hebrew language is also represented, the numbers in the Hebrew language are also represented by the letters themselves. So again, exists in the human language. The Torah Code. Now, what else is interesting here is we have the word creator. And that's this word running here in purple, going horizontally. Okay? And there's a skip. So it skips and skips and skips. Okay? But these 4 letters make up the word creator. And then running running vertically right underneath the word creator is again the word God, Yahweh. Okay, that's right here. So we have Yahweh connecting to the word creator. Creator is connecting to the word or words Torah Code. Now it gets even cooler. So this word right here, it's made up of this letter, and this letter. It's in this sort of fluorescent pink, is the word covered. Okay? Covered. Now think about that for just a moment. When you cover something up, what are you doing? You're hiding it. You're concealing it. So again, it's telling us that the Bible code is concealed within the Bible itself. The Torah Code is concealed, and it exists in the human language of numbers, of math, of the code itself, the code that makes up this simulation. Now, also intermingled, and it's crossing over the word God or Yahweh and mixing into the word covered is the word depths, okay? Depth, or with an S, depths. Again, showing that the Torah Code itself, the depth in which it is concealed within the Bible, it's many. The depths are many. It is so well concealed that it literally took, at one point, people literally going number by number, or not number, but letter by letter, and doing a skip just to see what they could find. And it took a tremendous amount of time because it is so in depth. Now, thank God we have computers that can do all the hard work for us. But again, it's just interesting that we have that word depths. It's showing us the depth of how deep this code is. And then, interesting, very interesting that we should have the word down here in blue. It's running horizontally. And again, it too has a skip. Is the word transducer. Okay, think about that. Transducer. So I put the description right here on the screen. A transducer is a device that converts energy from one form to another. Again, think about these words very carefully. Converts energy from one form to another. Usually a transducer converts a signal in one form of energy to a signal in another. Transducers are often employed at the boundaries of automation, measurement, and, here's a key word, or keywords, control systems. How many times have I talked about this simulation, this matrix being a system of control? Then it goes on to say, and control systems where electrical signals are converted to and from other physical quantities. The process of converting one form of energy to another is known as transduction. Okay? Now, when you think of this as a simulation and you think about that meaning of it converting one form of energy into another, it's literally describing to us how the simulation works. And then running diagonally right here in this sort of, mustard gold color, it's at an angle right here, is the word gateway. Gateway. Again, think about the word and let's look at the definitions here. So we have three different ones. A gateway is an opening or a structure framing an opening, such as an arch that may be closed by a gate. Okay, that's the most basic description of a gateway. Then we have something that serves as an entrance or a means of access. Okay, now think of that in terms of the Bible code and the Bible itself. The Bible is a gateway to the code that is contained within it. And then if we go down to the third description, it is software or hardware that enables communication between computer networks that use different communication protocols. Okay? So when you really start to put all of this together, it is showing, again, I think it's clearly describing that we are within a simulation, that the code itself exists in every single one of us because we would be a part of the simulation. And it exists in the human language of numbers. Again, you got to keep in mind that Hebrew, back in that time frame, they did not have a number system like we do today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They used the same character symbols for their letters as numbers. Okay, that is the code that we're witnessing right here. The Torah Code itself. And that it was created by the Creator, who is God. And it is covered. It is hidden. It is concealed within this book that we call the Bible. And it is very, very in-depth. And the whole entire simulation acts as a transducer. It is converting one form of energy into this form of energy that we see all around us, that we take for granted, I guess, as being real. That this reality, that everything that we're looking at is real, but it's all part of the simulation. And then, of course, the word gateway. It is a gateway. It's an entrance. The Bible itself and the code contained within it, it's a entrance, a gateway to understanding our reality. At least that is my interpretation. Yeah. It's really, really incredible. And one of the other things that what I was saying, how it demonstrates how this ties into the 1111 matrix code. Well, when you think of the phrase exists in the human language, and if it is in fact numbers, and if it is in fact mathematics, as I feel that it's referring to, then that's exactly what the 1111 matrix code is. It's numbers, it's math, and it's math at its basic form. Okay? I mean, there was nothing more than adding, subtracting, and multiplying. That's it. That's it. I mean, really, it was, I mean, I don't even think subtracting was any part of it. But definitely adding and multiplying was. And it was just the basic math of it. And that's what I was saying. Like, mathematics, math itself, yes, it is complex. You know, when you start getting up into algebra and trigonometry and calculus and all this other, stuff, it gets deep. But at the core, basic language of math is something that we would all be able to understand. And it's just, again, showing us that it exists in that human language. And really, technically, not even just a human language. If there are other life forms in the universe, they would also be able to speak the exact same language. Because no matter where you are, 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. No matter what. I mean, never is 1 + 1 going to be 25. You know what I'm saying? That is a language that we can all speak and communicate through. So, yeah. Again, a very cool, very interesting matrix found here. And just these crosswords and these connecting words, I mean, it is just painting a very vivid picture of our existence and our reality and how this entire simulation, this matrix that we live within, how it works, and that we're all a part of it. We're all a part of it. So now I do want to stress something really quickly here. I was reading some stuff over the weekend about the Bible Code and how mathematicians, all over the world claimed to have debunked the Bible Code because they could find references to, events in other books, such as Moby Dick and The Great Gatsby and you name it. I mean, just tons of different books. When you stop and think about it, for me personally, them being able to find those codes in those like War and Peace and, Moby Dick and all that stuff, it doesn't surprise me at all that they could do that. And the reason being is if we are all parts of the Creator and the Creator created this existence, this simulation that we are existing within, then wouldn't it make sense that anything that we created within the simulation would also continue to carry on the same code? I mean, to me, that makes perfect sense. The code is going to work through us the exact same way. If we are existing within the code and we create within the code, our creations are going to be a same part of that code. So anything that we write it makes sense to me that it would carry on the same elements that we would be able to find all kinds of information. All kinds of information. So, yeah, I mean, when you stop and think about that, like if we were to sit down and write something out, I mean, it's really worth trying to conduct an experiment. I don't know how I'd go about it exactly, but, just sit down and maybe just type up something, something simple, but, not like really short, but, maybe a couple of pages long or something. Maybe it needs to be longer. I don't know. But it's still worth trying this experiment just to write something out. Maybe sit down and write a biography of yourself, and then apply this method of the Bible code, the equidistant letter sequencing, and see what you can find. If it would even reveal things about yourself within it. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's definitely worth experimenting and trying. The only way I can really go about doing that is finding out how the creators of these programs converted the books, like the Torah, so that it works within the program. Whatever file extension that they're using, I think in Code Finder, the file extension is COD. Makes sense. I mean, we're missing one letter, it'd be code. But I don't know what program produces a file that is COD. I'll just have to experiment. Maybe I'll just contact them direct and just say, hey, can you tell me how I can convert my own writing into something that I can open up with your program? I think that's probably the best thing to do. So yeah, I think that's an experiment I'm going to play around with, see what happens. But yeah, I think mathematicians saying that they've debunked the Bible code, I just think that they're not thinking. They're not thinking about the idea of this being a simulation, how the code actually works, and that the code itself is going to exist within us, and it's going to exist within the products that we create while we're here. Yeah. So, okay, that's it for now. I just wanted to show you this one very quickly and walk through it with you guys. I just thought it was really cool. I mean, there's really no other words to describe it. It's fascinating, cool at the same time. It's so many different things, but I'm just really intrigued by what I'm finding, and I just think there's so much more here. And like I said, I think I said this once before, all the books that were kept out of the Bible, if those were put back into it, what more could we find? What's missing? Because it's missing because those books were removed. I don't know. So, okay, that's it for now. And until next time, I hope you all take care. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.